Chairman Jim Walsh here for our weekly Chairman's Update. And what a week it's been. The short and headline issue for this week is the Washington State Parents' Bill of Rights. And parents and family rights in Washington State generally have really hit the big time in media, the prime time in the news. This started about a week ago when President Trump retweeted a tweet that we put out talking about some of the attacks that the progressive left is making in Olympia against the Washington State Parents' Bill of Rights. Good law, current law, that says parents must be informed, must be notified of significant things that happen to their minor children at school, or in some cases in the healthcare environment, a doctor's office, a hospital, or really a health clinic on a school campus. The Washington State Parents' Bill of Rights has been law for about a year, and importantly, the state courts recently confirmed that the Bill of Rights is good law and current law in Washington State. The challenge in court that the ACLU and other left-wing organizations filed, the lawsuits, the courts put aside and said, no, the Parents' Bill of Rights is good law. And that has put even more anxious urgency on the political attacks on the Parents' Bill of Rights in Olympia. And Trump's attention to our debate, our attempts to defend and protect the Parents' Bill of Rights, and of course defend and protect the best outcomes for kids, that's what our policy is really about, have helped bring attention nationwide to what's going on here in Washington. You know, we don't want our state to become a fringy outlier, kind of weird thing, doing destructive public policy, destructive laws to families, to parents, to grandparents, to guardians, and to the kids in our state. You know, we know that leaving teenagers who are often depressed and confused about their bodies, about their place in society, leaving them alone without family support, without family even knowing what they're going through, only leads to more depression, more suicidal thoughts, more bad outcomes for the kids. And these progressive left attempts to wedge teenage kids and their parents and their families, it's not good law, it's not good policy, it's not good for the kids. So we're happy to fight this fight. We're glad for Trump's attention and really the eyes of the nation coming on to our fight here in Washington State for families and for kids. Senator Ted Cruz out of Texas chimed in. He helped bring some attention to the matter. And just lately, we've gotten national media coverage. The Fox News Channel and some of the big newspapers in our state, but also all around the country, have started paying attention. And the progressive left here in Washington, the legislators in Olympia, they've got no clue. They're going on TV and saying, yeah, parents have no rights. That's wrong. Parents do have rights. Parents have the best interest of their kids at heart. And parents and loving families are the best mechanism for raising kids who are happy and healthy adults. We know this. This is what the Washington GOP stands for. And it's not just these attacks on the Parents' Bill of Rights at the Capitol in Olympia. We're seeing other things that are connected to all of this. Our newly minted State Attorney General, Mr. Brown, is following in the footsteps of his predecessor, Mr. Ferguson, and filing frivolous, silly lawsuits against the White House, against President Trump. Specifically, just recently, Attorney General Brown filed a lawsuit challenging an executive order from President Trump that limits the gender change surgeries, the sex change surgeries on minor children, on people under 18 years old. And it's not just the surgeries, you've probably seen pictures or heard about these things. It's the hormone therapy, the drug therapy. The hormone therapy, they call it puberty blockers. They're the same drugs that used to be called chemical castration. These are really body-altering, life-altering drug therapies. The proponents, the supporters of this try to make it sound like it's not a big deal. It's a very big deal to kids' bodies. It can take years to overcome the drug therapy if you stop. And if you keep doing it for a long time, sometimes the effects can never be overcome in a lifetime. This is serious, life-altering stuff, whether it's a surgery or the drug therapy. And what the president's executive order said is we need to narrow down when this is done to minor children to really, truly situations where their physical well-being, their physical health, their physical life is at risk. Elective surgeries, elective drug hormone therapy should not be something undertaken, at least not without serious discernment and consideration. And certainly not without parents and families knowing about it. So the president's executive order is good. It is a good narrowing of the focus of federal policy on these matters. Now, of course, the president's executive order doesn't have a direct impact on state agencies or state law, but it has a trickle-down effect, as it should. We look to the federal government for leadership on policy points like this, especially controversial ones. But all of a sudden, the Attorney General here in the state, Mr. Brown, wants to sue the White House about this. Why? To keep performing these surgeries and these life-altering hormonal drug treatments on children. Mr. Brown, Attorney General, this is not the right use of taxpayer resources. Washington taxpayers foot the bill for your department and your own salary. This is not a good use of their dollars. The state attorney general ought to focus on state issues, on state law, on state policy, and the best way for the state legislature and the governor to make policy, and in the governor's case, enforce policy. Focus on what's going on here in Washington. Stop tilting at windmills back in the District of Columbia. That's what the people hired you to do, Mr. Brown. And it's not just the state attorney general. It's not just the radical, progressive, really fringe legislators in Olympia saying crazy things about how parents have no rights. It's broader than even that. The People's Initiative process, a dear thing, an historic standard here in Washington State, under attack. Some of my colleagues in the state legislature in Olympia are trying to effectively get rid of the initiative process. The mechanism by which they're proposing to do it is to regulate and fill with red tape and review and scrutiny and delays the signature gathering portion of the initiative process. As you know, the initiative process basically has three stages. You write, you draft, and file the initiative, and it gets some level of review by the Secretary of State and other agencies in Olympia. Then there is the signature gathering stage, and that's really what gets most attention most of the time. That's where those people are out there with the clipboards asking people to sign in support of the initiative. And then finally, the third stage is the initiative gets voted on by the people. So this is focused on that middle stage, on the signature gathering part, and creating new law which makes the signature gathering so difficult that it is impractical, that no initiative would ever gather enough signatures to qualify to get in front of the people. Why does the progressive left want to get rid of the initiative process? Because it's your voice. It's like the joke from the Shrek movie. the king doesn't like the people and orders a new population. No, no, no. In Washington state, as our state constitution says right at the start, Article 1, Section 1, all political power is inherent in the people. And when the government and elected politicians try to take the people's voice away, they are violating both the spirit and the letter of the Constitution. So my colleagues in Olympia, Mr. Brown, the State Attorney General, Mr. Ferguson, our new governor, heed the Constitution. Heed the voice of the people. Protect parents' rights, protect families, protect kids. We're going to keep fighting this fight in the national media and the local media, in neighborhood meetings all around Washington, because it's the right thing to do. That's it for this week. I'll talk to you again next week. Until then, be well and stay strong.